I'm Shante Frazier, and I'm the co-founder of WellCapped, which is what we like to call Rent the Runway for wigs. My co-founder is Ari Warren, and she's worked for companies such as Bank of America and Amazon as a senior product manager. I've worked for companies such as Wayfair, PwC, and also served as an officer in the U.S. Army National Guard. We recently hired a project manager, Lauren Grant, to help us stay true to our deadlines, and we formalized our relationship with our two mentors, Akiva Conwell from Rare Breeds and Tristan Walker from Bevel. The problem that we're trying to solve today is that if you're a consumer looking for human hair extensions or wigs, your journey is completely fragmented and confusing. It starts with you on Instagram, sorting through hundreds of different images, and then jump into an e-commerce site that isn't really optimized for you as a user. Because there aren't any major players such as L'Oreal or Procter & Gamble to provide that consumer education that typically the major players would provide, you have to rely on YouTube and influencers to figure out how to put the wig on, what type of wig you need, and then how to make the wig look natural. And then on top of that, the hair is expensive. You're spending $1,800 annually on human hair extensions and wigs. We got that number from Forbes, but we validated it with our members by asking them how much they were spending before WellCapped. And that number sticks across all income levels. Enter WellCapped. WellCapped allows members to get wig in an affordable and accessible way by offering a rental model. Our consumers currently are spending $1,800 annually, as I mentioned, on 3 different wigs, with the average cost being $600 a unit. We allow them to rent 12 wigs for only $1,200 annually, and also provide on-site education to help them figure out how to install it themselves instead of going to a salon. The way it works is very easy. You spend $100, you pick out your wig, and then at the end of your rental period, you put it in a prepaid labeled bag, ship it back to us, and we handle the washing and sanitization and restyling of the wig. The TAM right now sits at $3.1 billion, and that's only looking at the 20% of African American women who are currently wearing hair extensions and wigs. We know there's a lot of room for growth as more African American women realize the versatility and convenience they provide. And it's also expanding across different ethnicities, being spearheaded by influencers such as Chrissy Teigen, Kylie Kardashian, or Jenner, and then the Kardashian family. And then the why now is really answered here in that first bullet, and that's the accessorization of hair. People are now thinking of their hair as an extension of their outfit, the same way that Nike came in and made people think of their shoes as an extension of their outfit back in the 90s. There's a lot of noise happening right now in the VC world with hair extensions and wigs. And the biggest takeaway on this slide is that if you look at a 2x2 with affordability being on one axis and then accessibility being on the other, WellCapped really does sit in that right-hand quadrant, just being able to provide affordability to everyone based on that rental model. And we're the first company to do that. Our go-to-market strategy, my co-founder has been really strategic about how we're spending our marketing dollars. Our plan is to go after professionals, offer a get member incentives. So you get someone for 20% off your membership. And then also going after campus college students. We know how quick things go viral on a college campus. To date, here's the progress we've made. We had a hypothesis that people would be willing to rent wigs. We tested it out with 25 members. Of those 25, 17 stayed with us. And the ones who did pause, they paused because they wanted to wear braids or their natural hair. And now we're about to launch again at the end of this month with 50 members. We have a wait list right now with over 200 names. And we're going to slowly start opening that off. And our target is to hit 1,000 members by the end of this year, which will put us at the $100,000 in monthly recurring revenue mark. I thank you for your time, and I welcome any questions from you.
Shante, great question. Great presentation. Sorry, my question is more so around, vision here. kind of what excites you about what's next? You mentioned how Nike can kind of change the game and stuff like that. So what is the evolution for WellCapped in terms of who you're targeting?
Yeah, I want to point out that I thank you for that question because I really wanted to fit that in, but I didn't have the time in those 5 minutes. But if we could pull up my slides again, my job prior to business school was looking at data and figuring out what people's loss ratios were for an insurance company based off their demographics. We want to do that with beauty. I think if Netflix would have entered the game saying like, hey, we're going to be really good at increasing screen time based on these recommendation bars, people probably would have shooed them at the door, which is why we try not to get too caught up on this part. But this really is our bread and butter, those recommendations. So figuring out what your preferences are when you onboard onto WellCap, we ask you to fill out a survey that allows us to see if you're someone who's here for trends or if you're someone who's practical. I mean, we're going to slowly start recommending products from adjacent categories based off those preferences. So starting with hair care and then going into skincare, then makeup. It'll be a traditional e-commerce model, but we'll also have our own white labeled products. And the reason why is because there's so many brands entering the beauty industry because of the low barriers to entry, but it's so hard to figure out what's for you. So think of a Sephora on drugs, basically. We want you to be able to look at a tutorial, have the cart already built out for you, and be able to easily check out without having to do that research.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joey.
This was great. This is an operationally complex business. Can you talk a little bit about the back end operations around shipping and how you'll receive the wigs and how you're thinking about sterilization and just everything that happens on the back end to enable this?
Thank you. I wish my co-founder was on the call because she gets so much this. But we did the test over the summer of 2021. And the reason we're just now launching is because we really had to get that part right. We had to get turnaround times tighter. But the way it works is it's almost like a library. So when we get the wigs back, we put it on a rack so that our ops team is able to easily locate where those wigs are. They're washed and sanitized right away, but they're not restyled until they ship back out because we want the style to last. But we think of it almost like a library business. We had to, when we were coming up with the systems we needed, off processing or in processing was just as important as getting the items out. So we sanitize them with barbicide, and then we restyle them. We use local. All of our hair comes from China, but they're constructed hair locally in Atlanta. So we're able to put money back into those people's pockets. And if we pull up our slides again, that's one of the things we're working on optimizing right now. We contract the hair out. We contract the sanitization process out on that unit economics slide, which is right now $30 per wig. But we're bringing that in-house, and we know that we can get the cost down to $15 a wig.
Like relatedly, I'm just curious, is like what's the lifetime of a wig?
Great
How many
question.
different, yeah.
3 years. It's actually 5 years, but we're applying a half-life to that math because we're putting more heat on them and they're traveling more. So to make sure our projections are right, we're looking at a 3-year lifespan, which gives us a $5 depreciation rate.
Thank you.
Yeah, and along those lines, how great presentation. I get it. I get everything. I'm like, yes.
Thank you.
Really great deck. Question aligned with Adina's is about the QA process in order to de-risk this for the renter of these hair pieces. So what are you doing to establish that trust? And what if something goes wrong, right? What procedures do you all have in place?
Yes, we have SOPs. Again, we're outsourcing all of that. And right now we're getting eyes on before anything's being shipped out. However, we know that's not scalable. So we do have SOPs. We're going to be doing random QA checks. Each wig has a tag on it. So it has a unit identifier for us to look at how long the wigs are actually lasting. But the other beautiful part of that is that we're able to see who last serviced that wig based on those unique identifiers so that we can trace it back to the vendor or the contractor that we use and say, hey, what's going on here? We're getting a high complaint rate from you.
Okay, so you do have ample evidence that there's a comfort that people have with wearing other people's wigs?
Yes. Yep. And I think it's the same issue Rent a Runway had with running dresses.
Mhm.
Anytime you're creating a new category, you're going to have to use a lot of marketing dollars to get rid of that stigma. But that's really what that 90-day test was about, validating that people would be comfortable wearing wigs that other people had.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on, y'all. I only have 2 minutes. We got to get the data out there.
I might have missed this because my audio went out for a minute, but I was just curious about how you think about the longer term customer lifetime value. You mentioned some, I think, really good use cases, people wanting to pause due to wanting to wear their hair in a different way. But how do you think about a reasonable customer lifetime value when you model out the business? And sorry if someone asked that.
No. I actually get excited about this part. So putting people into different categories based off their preferences is something that I did prior to business school as a pricing analyst. So figuring out what people's loss ratios were. But instead of doing regression model, because it's qualitative data, we have to do K-clustering. So putting you in groups and then recommending adjacent products. So maybe shampoo, conditioner to start with. To test what categories that we're going into next, we're going to use emails, figure out which emails have the highest engagement rates, and then move into those adjacent categories. But we want to be the Netflix for beauty products. So increasing your average order value by figuring out what you like, what you're good at, and making this beauty process, demystifying it really, just making it easy for you. We don't think people jump from Sephora to YouTube to get the products they need.
All right. Thank you, Shante. That's coming to the end of our session on the pre-revenue side. Wanted to send another shout out to our judges. A lot of great questions and insights. We are so grateful for your time. So now we're going to take a break. We're going to start the revenue track finals at about 1:45 p.m. Eastern time. You're not going to want to miss another exciting slate of startups. Before we go to break, I just wanted to thank our sponsors once more again for making this possible. Thank you, Google for Startups. Thank you, General Catalyst, Khosla, Thrive.